Reality is trusted because it does not interrupt itself. It continues. Moment after moment, it behaves as if it knows what it is doing. This continuity creates confidence. We rarely question what does not break. We assume that what persists must be fundamental, but persistence is not proof of truth. It is only repetition. Physics learned this the hard way. When experiments stopped aligning with intuition, the universe did not collapse. Understanding did. Reality kept functioning while explanation failed. Equations worked where language could not. Nature continued without asking whether we were comfortable with its behavior. At the quantum level, reality does not present itself as a clear statement. It presents itself as ambiguity that refuses to resolve too early. Events do not line up neatly. Outcomes are not selected in advance. What exists is not a finished answer, but an open question held in balance until interaction forces resolution. This reveals something unsettling. Reality does not seem interested in being fully known. It does not offer itself as a complete object waiting to be understood. It behaves more like a process that resists capture. Every time Sergeny tries to close in, nature opens again. The human mind experiences this resistance as discomfort. We are conditioned to believe that clarity is safety, that understanding brings control, that if something is real, it must be explainable. But this belief is psychological, not universal. The universe does not share our need for reassurance. Uncertainty, in physics, is not confusion. It is discipline without closure. Laws exist, but they do not dictate outcomes. They define limits, not destinies. Reality follows structure, but it does not commit to a single path until it must. This is where reflection deepens. If reality itself does not exist as a closed system, why do we expect ourselves to be complete, fixed, or fully defined? The same demand for certainty imposed on the universe is imposed inwardly on identity. The self is expected to make sense, to be consistent, to have a clear direction. But when examined closely, identity behaves exactly like quantum reality. It is contextual. It changes with observation. It stabilizes through repetition, not essence. Thoughts appear and vanish without asking permission. Emotions arise without warning. Even convictions shift when conditions change. There is no final version of the self hidden somewhere behind experience. There is only what is happening now, shaped by memory and expectation. What remains constant is not the story of who you are, but the fact that experience is happening at all. Awareness does not need to resolve itself. It does not need to become something. It is already present, prior to explanation. This creates a quiet parallel. In physics, form arises from fields. In experience, content arises within awareness. In both cases, the fundamental layer is not solid, but open, not empty, but uncommitted. The mistake is assuming openness is weakness. We are taught that uncertainty must be eliminated, that not knowing is a failure. But physics reveals the opposite. Openness is what allows reality to move, adapt, and emerge. A universe without uncertainty would be frozen. Life reflects this structure. Growth does not come from certainty. It comes from instability. From moments where direction is unclear. From periods where identity loosens and something new has space to appear. Stability arrives later as a byproduct, not as a starting point. Time itself participates in this openness. The future does not exist as a completed region waiting to be entered. It exists as a set of tendencies. Possibilities narrow into events only when conditions demand it. What feels inevitable now was once open. The past feels solid only because uncertainty has already collapsed there. Memory creates the illusion of necessity, but nothing was guaranteed until it happened. Reality does not move along a predetermined track. It settles moment by moment. This understanding does not remove meaning. It removes false certainty. Meaning becomes something lived, not something concluded. When reality is no longer expected to provide final answers, attention becomes more intimate. Presence sharpens. Assumption weakens. Experience deepens. Physics does not tell us what to believe. It tells us what reality refuses to be. Inner observation does the same. Together, they do not construct a worldview. They dismantle the need for one. What remains is not emptiness. It is contact, direct, unfiltered contact with experience. As it unfolds, without labels rushing ahead, without conclusions closing the moment too soon. Reality does not ask to be understood. It asks to be met. And beneath every attempt to define, explain, or stabilize what is happening, there is something quietly unchanged. Something that does not argue with uncertainty. Something that does not require answers. Not because it knows more, but because it does not need to know. It is already here, watching reality happen. Still. Within